Welcome back, everybody, to the next lesson in our course. This lesson is lesson 7.2, and we're going to be exploring hexagonal curriculum mapping. You're going to be using it to plan a project. Hexagonal mapping is a great thinking routine that you can do with your students. It's an opportunity for you to capture on little hexagons different ideas and then to build up those connections. You'll remember that it was part of our connecting information toolkit. During this activity, this part of our course, you're going to be learning to use hexagonal mapping to represent links across your curriculum. So by the end of this part of the course, you will have a hexagonal curriculum map for your project. You're thinking about how you can plan using project-based learning and learner-centered pedagogies with your students. So this is the first opportunity to do that and the first kind of activity to explore. So let's have a little look about what actually is hexagonal project planning. We're going to be I've actually got my little hexagons here. So we're going to be taking a hexagon. There we go. There's my hexagons. And we're going to be recording on our hexagons some different curriculum ideas, references, and information. And then we're going to be looking at ways that these hexagons connect and map together as we start to build up the different links between the curriculum elements and the ideas that we have for our projects. One of the great things about hexagonal mapping is that it allows us to create a really organic, linked map as opposed to just a list of ideas. And that's a useful thing to remember. We're not just writing a list of curriculum outcomes in a bullet pointed way. We're actually exploring how do these different ideas connect with each other. And obviously, once you start building up your hexagonal map, you start to connect ideas in lots of interesting ways. It asks you to think about your information, your curriculum, in a quite a unique way. Let's look at some examples. You can see here that these are all to do with projects that have got titles at the top. So should you take what isn't yours on the right-hand side? Why do we tell stories? A great question in the middle there. Probably something to do with literacy and narrative. Does wealth corrupt? Look at that. That's a great provocation, isn't it, to begin with? And you'll notice that whenever you look at examples of hexagonal mapping, is that they always look different. And even if I gave you exactly the same ideas to write down on hexagons, that when you sit down and start to map them, your connections will be different than someone else's. There isn't a right answer, and you're looking to explore the ideas by mapping. A lot of good discussion, thinking, lots of good new ideas should spring about from being able to build up a little curriculum map. What you can see also in color here is different aspects of the curriculum that these teachers were working on. They color coded their hexagons to be part. So if you're doing some literacy or reading and sort of digital skills as well, you're doing different colors for different things. If you've got a couple of subjects working together, doing some STEM related projects, on one color you've got some of your science and on another color you've got your maths. Think about different ways to represent your ideas and how you might use your hexagons in different ways to show meaning. Let's have a look then at what you're going to be doing in this activity. So this is the main bulk of our planning and project planning. So this is the starting point for you to really explore some new ideas. So you're going to need a little bit of time, and I would recommend probably spending a good hour, if not more, on making a start on the hexagonal project planning. First of all, make sure you've got your resources, and I've got some cutout hexagons, and you can hopefully find in your workbook the page of blank hexagons that you can cut out and use. So get yourself what you need. You can see that these teachers use some big paper to put their hexagons on, big markers. Maybe you could just find some felt tips or some coloring pencils to add some color to color code your hexagons if you're doing different subjects. In your team, choose a time, maybe it's next term, and a year group and a class or a subject that you're working with. Decide where and when you're working and what's the the subject or the year group that needs your support and is your focus of your project. Spend some time exploring the curriculum content that you would normally be teaching. And on every one of your little hexagons, you might write down a teaching point or a specific outcome. Try not to write too much on your hexagon. You don't want 3 or 4 pieces on a single hexagon. You just want one clear idea on here. So one idea, and then you just get another hexagon for another idea so that you have all your different pieces. Let's explore some of the things that you would actually write down and then capture on your hexagons. So what knowledge will students learn? What is it that you're trying to learn about? Are there specific fixed pieces of knowledge that are in your curriculum that you want to list out? Mindsets that they will adopt. So what are the ways of thinking that you're trying to encourage? You can hopefully recognize the pattern here. We talk about skills. So skills, they'll develop the specific things. Maybe it's something to do with geographical mapping, map reading skills, or exploring direction. Whatever the skills are, you're listing those out on hexagons and giving them a different color. What are the specific tools that they will use? Do they have to use a specific way of thinking, a framework, a structure? Maybe it's one of the tools that we've looked at so far. What activities will they do? So this is stuff that you've already potentially done in the past, exploring some of the specific activities. You'll write those down on individual hexagons as well. I would like you to explore this across 60 to 90 minutes or so. This is going to take some time for you to map out the individual pieces. And the best way to do it is just to write down as much as you can to begin with. Don't worry about mapping. Start just recording. Get a good kind of list of different things. Make sure you've got on your little hexagons all these different pieces of what you would normally be teaching. And then you can start to begin to map and connect your ideas. And perhaps through that, you'll start to see some opportunities for a new project. So enjoy mapping some of your curriculum. Enjoy exploring hexagonal project planning. You can always come back to some of these examples if you needed a bit of inspiration. In our next lesson, we're going to be exploring the project poster. Okay, so enjoy your time doing some hexagonal project planning.